Hi everyone, it's Katie and welcome to another day of 31 Days of Tarot. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you the tarot decks that I would like to spend more time with in 2019. I have 5 kind of newer tarot decks that I really want to spend some time with, and 2 decks that I'm already quite familiar with that I want to spend even more time with. Of course I have a beautiful collection and I'll be spending plenty of time with hopefully most if not all of my decks, but these are kind of the 5 plus 2 that I'm really looking forward to and want to spend some dedicated focused time with in 2019. So we'll start with those decks that came to me either at the beginning of or during my kind of break, I suppose we're calling it, that I haven't really spent any time with or very much time with, that I want to spend lots of time with and get to know. And the first is the Naked Heart Tarot by Gillian C. Wilde. Now this is a deck I've done a handful of readings with. Gillian sent this to me, which was very generous of her, and I've been meaning to do a review, but it came, I don't know, just before I kind of needed to take my break, and so I just haven't spent enough time with it, and I feel like I need to spend proper time with it because it's not a deck that I'm just gonna jump in and that I'm gonna get. Not that I can't read with it, but I'm not gonna get the feeling of it, the essence of it enough to be able to explain it. I need to experience that through using. It is beautiful and I do really like it. The guidebook is great. I mean, it's little, it fits in that box, but it's chunky. And Gillian's definitely packed as much information in there as she possibly can. And it's just really great that, you know, all these little symbols and things, like we have a bit of an explanation as to what's going on rather than just bits and pieces to fill an image. Obviously it's very animal heavy, which is pretty unique to my collection for tarot decks, that is, which is a good thing, I suppose, to have a little bit of something different and experience something different and push myself out of my comfort zone a little. Next we have the Urban Tarot. Now this one I haven't read with at all. I got this just as my slump was starting. And it was kind of the result of my taste in tarot, my change in taste in tarot recently that kind of made me want this deck. All of a sudden I kind of saw this deck with fresh eyes. I'd seen it before and I'd liked the images, I loved the colours, but it just really wasn't for me. It just felt too contemporary and too specific, I don't know, it just didn't feel me. But with my kind of, you know, new detour of tarot, my new approach to tarot in a lot of ways, mid last year, I saw this deck with fresh eyes all of a sudden, and it called to me, and so I got it in a trade, which was great, and then I got the guidebook, and then I went on a break. And it's just the sort of deck that I really want to spend time with. I feel like it deserves that level of attention. I want to do it justice, basically. The Dark Days Tarot is another one that came really in the midst of my little break, although I have used this a little bit because it just really jumped out to me as something quite special and interesting. I really love this artwork, and I don't know, it just felt a lot more accessible and simpler, and like I could just dive in. Like I didn't need to read the guidebook and, you know, sit with the cards and everything like I want to do with the Urban Tarot because of the nature of the deck, and like I want to do with the Naked Heart because I really want to do a good review of that deck, and I feel like it's the sort of deck that I need to take that approach to. This one was a deck that I just felt like I could experience and that I could just be with and that I could just read, which was really nice to have in the midst of my little break. This and the Guardian Angel Tarot were really the only 2 exceptions to that. They were the only decks that I used at all, and even then I didn't use much. So I've only done a handful of readings with this, and they've all been very small, kind of one card pulls, 3 card readings, whatever. So this is definitely a deck that I just feel like I'm starting to get to know and that I want to spend a lot more time with this year. Love this card. I don't think there's any cards in this that I don't like. I love the white backgrounds, and like these are just I love the brightness of the mages. But as far as the images are concerned, I don't think there's any cards that I don't like. To me, they're so interesting. And even though there's so much space, there's so much going on. Just a really cool deck. Now we're going to talk about the Gaian Tarot. This is the Llewellyn edition, which is now out of print, but you can get this deck from Schiffer. They've just reprinted it recently. This deck did show up right as I was taking a break. I think this was the unboxing I did of this deck, might have been the last video I did before taking a little bit of a break. Haven't read with this deck at all, obviously still in order. And I'm not really sure. At first I thought this was a deck that I wanted to, you know, read the guidebook and get all into, but the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking I just want to play with. Definitely one I want to finally get out of water, shuffle and see how I go with it. See what kind of relationship we might have. Whether that does become just an intuitive, organic one, or whether I do want to kind of make it more of a study. We will see. But yeah, that's definitely a big aim of mine this year, to spend some time with this deck. Look at this. How cool is that? So cute. It's just gorgeous. Now another deck that arrived not too long before I took my break was the Idiosyncratic by Jessica Bott, which Tracy from Temperance Tarot sent me as an incredible gift. Hugely generous of her. Of the 5, the last of all of the ones that I've shown so far in this video, this is the one that I have spent the most time with, because yeah, it was just one of those decks that as soon as I pulled it out, I loved it. I shuffled it and started reading with it. It was just that easy and free and fun for me. So this has just been a really fun deck to use, and even though I have spent a little bit of time with it, it's been all kind of really quick, short readings. And so I just want to kind of see how versatile this deck is, and kind of try those bigger spreads, kind of see what sort of readings I enjoy doing best with this deck, whether it is those small ones that I've been doing, and if so, cool, or you know, if there's other ways that I enjoy using this deck. I also want to experiment more with this deck and the kind of companion oracle deck that I have now, which is the Amethyst Oracle. So there's just, there's a lot more room for me to explore with this deck. I mean, there's always more room to explore with any deck, but I feel like I've only just kind of scratched the surface with this one, because it does feel like a really special one to me, and I just love it. It definitely does feel like a deck that could just be kind of like a daily draw, you know, whether that's 1 card or 3 or 5 or 10 or whatever. It just feels like a deck that would really suit kind of the everyday, which is kind of more how I've been using it, which has been really fun, but definitely a lot more room for me to learn with and about and experience with this deck, which I'm really looking forward to this year. I think it will be a deck that I end up spending quite a bit of time with, just because it just feels, I just feel like I click with it, you know, like it's not hard. It will take work in the sense that anything good takes work, but it won't feel hard for me, I don't think. I think it'll just be the sort of work that you forget you're doing. Like things will flow and I'll grow with it, as opposed to trying to catch up to it. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, now I have 2 more decks that I have spent plenty of time with, but that still just feel, I don't know. They're still decks that I really want to spend a lot more time with. The first is the Textured Tarot by Lisa McLaughlin. When this arrived, it was towards the end of last year, mid last year. I haven't had this deck for a long time anyway, so it's not like, you know, I've spent 10 years with this deck or anything. It's not like that at all. It's kind of on that borderline of feeling new but also feeling quite familiar and comfortable with it. But it's just a deck that I've fallen head over heels in love with, and because I kind of really spent a lot of time with it just before my break, I kind of feel like, I don't know, like we've been on a few dates but we haven't quite, I don't know, gotten to the next level yet. And that's what I want to do with this deck. I just want to spend even more time with it and kind of get even more familiar, or get back into it, you know. Yeah, because I really feel like I did break through with this deck. I spent plenty of time with it, did lots of readings, and really really kind of started to get in my groove with it. Felt really good about using it. And I don't know, I felt like I just kind of stopped a little bit too short of feeling, I don't know, like it was just another deck in my collection that I could just go to, and just, it didn't feel like it had found its spot in my collection yet as far as me understanding where it fit. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. Like, it's almost there. I just haven't spent quite enough time with it for it to just be another deck that I go to and that I love. It's still a deck that I want to spend some more really dedicated, intentional time with. Partly because I just enjoyed it so much and because I love it so much, but also just because it still feels relatively new. And the final deck is one I actually got in 2017. At least I think I did. Goodness, it's hard to keep up. Oh gosh, these cards are huge. I might have to sit them down. You can tell I've just filmed my death video. There's a lot of death cards on the top. This is a deck that I spent a lot of time with already, but I just feel like there's so much here, and I just feel like it's such an important deck for me to get to grips with, or just spend more time with, really. In my deck collection video, it was the first time I'd pulled this out in quite a while, because I filmed that quite a while ago. It's kind of one of those videos that I just took a while to actually put up. It was the first time I'd looked at this deck in several months, and it brought me to tears. I was really emotional. And so from then I just kind of realized how much I needed to be spending time with this deck at the moment. So yeah, this is not a new deck to me, although it still feels relatively new, even though I've had it for quite a while now. It is definitely a deck that it just feels like I need to spend some time with it. And I want to as well. It's not like one of those things where you're like, oh God, you have something to teach me that I don't really want to face. It's not like that at all. It just feels like this deck, like I need some encouragement and some space to rejuvenate and to become inspired and to connect with my passion and what matters to me. And I just feel like this deck is here for that. So yeah, just feels like the right thing for me to be pulling out at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed this fun little video. I'm looking forward to watching everybody else's answers to this question, and I'll talk to you again soon. So much love. Bye.